Testing, testing. Good morning. How is everyone? Did you enjoy the pub crawl last night? Everyone recovering? Hopefully you had a lot of caffeine. I am well caffeinated. My name's Dave. I am a developer evangelist for Amazon focused on mobile apps and games. And basically what that means is if you have content, whether that's on Android tablets, BlackBerry 10 devices, you want it on Amazon devices, my entire job is to connect your content with Amazon customers. And so what we're going to do today, I thought it would be cool to kind of give you an overview of the Amazon ecosystem. Does anybody here have an app or game in our store today? Okay, how many people here have an app or game on Google Play or iTunes or Windows? Okay, great. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about our developer program. I'm going to tell you our reach. Then I'm going to go into the Fire Phone. Has anybody seen the Fire Phone? Come by the booth yesterday? All right, I'll be at the booth later if you want to see it. I might have a little surprise at the end if everybody's hanging around. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the developer SDK. I'm going to point out two things I think that are a big differentiator that are entirely new in the mobile space. And we're all here, right? We're all at reInvent because we love technology, we love solving problems. And I think you're going to enjoy some of the things that you're going to see. And I'm going to show you how to get started. So what I'm going to do is open a browser, and I'm going to actually submit an APK. I'll show you how to test an APK. I'll show you where to get all of the sample code, and then you can take it from there. Does that sound good? All right. I am not from Seattle. I was born and raised at the Jersey Shore, so I pace a lot. When I say you guys, it's men and women, okay? And my email address is just my last name at Amazon.com, and I am on Twitter at TheDaveDev. I'm going to be talking about phone today, but you can look at me as a funnel to the product teams in Seattle. So if you've got feedback, anybody see the Amazon Echo we just announced? If you've got feedback and you're looking for things you want us to put in an SDK, please email me or just tell me. We are anxious to hear what you'd like to see as developers. So everything you need to get started is at one URL. So don't feel like you have to write everything down. It's just developer.amazon.com/firephone. And that is going to be where all of the API documentation is, all of the sample code. We have design guidelines. We have specs. We have videos. It links to our blog. So you'll see I do a blog series on tips and tricks for Fire TV. Anybody hear about the Fire TV stick we just announced? Okay, awesome. So there's going to be tips and tricks, all of that there. This is one URL. You can get to everything that you need. Everything that I'm going to show you today is free. We don't charge you to get in front of Amazon customers. The only split that we take is the industry split, the 70-30 split. There is no developer fee, no annual fee, registration fee, none of that. And a lot of the things that you're going to see in the ecosystem also work on Google Play and iOS. So let's take a look at the ecosystem. What we want to do is we want to get digital content, mobile apps and games to Amazon customers. And we do that through as many devices as we can possibly be on. So currently today, that is Android tablets and phones. Does anybody here have an Android tablet or phone with the Amazon shopping app on it? Okay, you have the App Store. You just open that up and you go to apps and games. So if you're a developer, your app would be in there. BlackBerry 10 devices. We showcase apps on Amazon.com. So when you buy an app from us, let's say it's a hiking app, you will see physical and digital recommendations too. So you may see hiking boots recommended because you're looking at hiking app. If you're a jogger and you have a bunch of running apps, you may see things up there like jogging shoes. So there's that cross-pollination between the physical and the digital on Amazon.com. There's the phone, there's the TV and the TV stick, and then there's our tablets. So there's this entire ecosystem. Wherever we can get your content in front of Amazon customers, we're going to do that. I'm announcing a number today. We're at over 300,000 apps in the Amazon App Store. So there's been tremendous growth and momentum there. There's already over 200,000 on the phone. So the opportunity for you to reach customers is real, and it's growing every day. We are in over 200 countries. The phone itself has launched in the US, the UK, and Germany. And what's important as a developer is it's one app store. So if you decide today, you know what, I kind of like what Dave was saying about phone, maybe I'm going to start out on tablet or just Android phones and tablets, you can do that. It's the same entry. As you expand into phone and as you move to TV, you don't have to change anything. Your customers will just see that become available on all of their different devices. Does that make sense? Okay. We also have a mobile SDK, and this SDK sits on top of AWS. So common developer tasks, things like device management, in-app purchasing, syncing game state and data, achievements, leaderboards, all of that stuff we have available. This is a freely downloadable SDK. And we also have two things that are unique to our store. One is Amazon Coins. So everybody who buys a device, who buys a controller, who installs the Amazon app, they get coins. Coins currently in the US, the currency is 100 coins is $1. They can use those coins to buy your app. They can use those coins to buy items in your app. And then we promote items through the store, and you can promote your own apps through the store, where you're rewarded with coins for downloading. So today, customers can go into the store and they could see, here's 5 different apps. If I download all 5 of those apps, just download them, I get enough coins to go and buy a game. All right, so it's kind of this digital currency across the entire app store. And then Developer Select, it's very, you go in, you get a bunch of checkboxes that tells you if you've targeted everything, and you'll automatically be promoted. You don't have to email us. You don't have to know anybody. It just automatically happens. And then we actually advertise your app in our ad network across all of these devices. So lots of interesting things that are going around APIs and ways to promote developer apps. We also have a free app testing service. As a developer myself for a really long time, I know the pain points of not having a device to test on things. So we've made it really easy. If you go to developer.amazon.com/apps, there's a big button, Browse. You click it, you put your APK. We run it on real hardware for you. So we run it on tablets, we run it on phones, we give you a full report, we give you memory utilization, we give you all sorts of data that you can look at, including where the testers tapped on the individual UI screens. Does anybody here use Xamarin or familiar with Xamarin? Okay. We're also part of the Xamarin Test Cloud, so you can go in there, you can test on Fire phones, and you can test on Fire tablets too. So lots of ways to see how your app is running. And then, of course, App Store Developer Select I talked about is going to give you free ad impressions. Any World of Warcraft players in here? It just launched. Did you guys play last night or play yet? All right, good. We're all in the same boat. New expansion just launched last night, and I can't play till Saturday. But I have an app in our store that's for that game. I wrote it in HTML5. We do support HTML5 web apps on all our devices. And I did nothing, and my app, it was 30 lines of code, was in our ad network, and people downloaded it and used it. It was an area of interest for customers, and it got put into the ad network. So that is open to everyone, even silly evangelists who think they can steal code, right? All right, so let's talk about the phone. If you haven't seen the phone, here is the home screen. So it's very much like a Kindle Fire tablet. Has anybody seen Fire tablets before and that carousel? Okay, so what we've done at the top, these are your most recent items, but you can also pin items. So for example, I have my email at the top and my text messages. Those in developer sense are Android widgets. So you have the ability to expose data that you can see underneath there. So for example, you could triage email. You could triage text messages. If it's a game, it'll show achievements. Then at the bottom, you get your row of favorites, and if you swipe up, you'll see your grid of icons where you can use folders, okay? So that's very much like any other Android tablet when you get to the bottom. However, in Fire Phone, we have this technology that we call dynamic perspective. And what dynamic perspective does is it gives a depth to the elements that you're going to see on screen, including your grid of icons. So you may have common apps today that you're using, like Facebook and LinkedIn, your Twitter app. And if you move your phone back and forth, you'll actually see some depth to all of those icons. I'm going to show you I got a machine up here. I'll start showing you some of that in a little bit. And what dynamic perspective allows you to do from a developer sense is you don't have to put all of the information on the screen at one time. If I have a map, for instance, what you can see here, if I simply turn the device, now it's not tracking my eyes, it's tracking my head relative to the screen. So I could move my head left or right, or I could move the device left or right. It's that position between those two things. And so if you peek, just by moving like this, on the screen you would see Yelp reviews. And you're going to see this throughout the entire OS. So inside Amazon Instant Video, if I'm looking at customer ratings for different TV shows, all I have to do is just move my head a little bit and they'll appear on the screen. And when I move my head back, they go away. So it's a very elegant way of layering on top UI elements to your existing applications. Customers can just go ahead and peek into that type of information. Does that make sense? Okay. We also have something called Firefly. Now, Firefly exists on the phone, and it exists on the higher-end tablets that we just launched as well. You can see it on the tablet if you come to our booth later. And Firefly is a way, I want you to think of it from a developer sense, to take any physical object in the world that's within this catalog, right now it's over 100 million items, and digitize it. It reminds me of like Tron from the 80s. Anybody remember that movie where they were digitizing different elements? It's like that. So what happens is, it's not a QR code, it's not a tag, it's a physical item in the world. And you'll see in our booth we have books and we have food and old board games and DVDs. And you point it at it and you'll see these little fireflies swing around. And you get what's called a digital entity. And that digital entity can have different types of facets. So we can say, hey, I'm a phone number. Here you can see, we're seeing a billboard out in the street. I simply hold the phone up to it and it recognizes the phone number. So it's a way to digitize real physical objects onto the phone. Does that make sense? All right, so those are the key differentiators of really the new technology that Fire Phone is bringing that I think you'll be excited about. So we're in Vegas. I thought it would be cool to actually demo a game as a way to do dynamic perspective. So this is a Fire Phone exclusive. This is Tofu Fury. You play the little piece of tofu over there on the left, and you have to go and rescue the heart princess on the right. Now, we've all played these kind of touch games where you fling something, right, like the Angry Birds style games or Toy Story Smash It, and you've got to get to another area, but they're two-dimensional. Wouldn't it be neat that if I just moved my head around, I could actually see within the level itself? And that is what HotGen has done with Tofu Fury. So let me switch over here. This is actually my Fire Phone that I have running. Everybody see that? Now, the first thing you'll notice is on my lock screen, if I just move my head, you can see in real time the device is actually tracking and generating an image. Everybody see that? So it's I don't know if we have any Whovians here, right? Doctor Who? It's like the Fall of Gallifrey picture, right? You're looking into this two-dimensional space, and you're actually seeing depth. And what's happening is there's 4 cameras in the corner there, and they're just tracking my head in relation to the device, and they're rendering those scenes in real time. And now we all love having our own photos on our lock screen, right? So here's a picture of my youngest daughter, right? And you can just go through an album right here from the side. And then I can just swipe back. So I have this nice, interesting scene. And by the way, we've done 2 updates. We're continually updating the phone. We've done 2 updates already, and we've introduced 4 new lock screens in those updates. So these screens are always coming along. So let's go ahead and unlock. Let me do it this way. So here is that widget for Tofu Fury. Everybody see that? And if I move it around, you see how that block of tofu is actually moving? If I go down into my app grid, so here's my games, the same exact thing. And in fact, I don't know if you notice Candy Crush is on there. Is there any way to... It's awfully bright. There we go. Is that a little better now? Do you see how those icons are actually moving right on the grid as well when I'm looking at them? So there's depth throughout the device. Let's go ahead and run Tofu. Now that's WhisperSync that you just saw pop up. That's our free API service that allows you to sync achievements and leaderboards. And if you have the Kindle e-reader, you're probably familiar with WhisperSync bringing data back and forth. Let me turn up the volume. All right, so here's the level. And as I move around, you can see there's tofu, but I can see the plants. I can look up on the top of the roof. And I'm getting all of this depth in the screen. I'm going to go ahead and say play. And these are the different worlds that are available. So I can look to the left. I can see the little volcano. I can look over here to the right. I've unlocked a couple levels. I tell you, it's really hard having a job where you have to unlock levels in a video game, right? I know you all feel for me. So I'm going to hit the top. Let's go ahead. We'll try level 3. See if we got something more interesting up here. Tap to continue. All right, so I have all these spikes. I'm going to skip what she's saying. And maybe I want to see how I can get all the way to her. So I just move this up, and I can see I have spikes there. So I take little tofu, flip them up, and then I'm moving that way. Now I want to look down. So do you see how my perspective is changing across this 3D world, but on this 2D screen? Pretty cool, right? So that's dynamic perspective. You can see how it's used in a game. It's also used in the icons. So there are hundreds and hundreds of games and apps on Fire Phone where publishers have actually gone back and updated the icon. So here's Star Wars, right? Han's shot first. Any Star Wars fans? If I go like this, you see how you can actually see Han? He's kind of coming out of the screen as he's moving around here. Let me try and move him over. Everybody see that? Here's another game that's exclusive to Fire Phone, Saber's Edge. And there is also everybody's favorite, right? If I go and I load Candy Crush, I won't play the music. But they've taken their logo, and their logo is now in 3D. Everybody see that? All right, so that's dynamic perspective. It's adding a layer of interactivity that did not exist on a mobile screen before. So what's inside this thing? So it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon quad-core 2.2 gigahertz. It's an Adreno 330 GPU. So if you're a Unity developer, just make sure you're turning on Adreno support. And it has 2 gigs of RAM in it. It's a 4.7-inch HD screen at 315 ppi. It's very bright and crisp on the display. If you look at Consumer Reports, they talk a lot about the screens that we have on all of our Amazon Fire devices. It's a very, when you look at the device, you'll see that. And it has Dolby Digital sound, so when you actually hold the phone up this way, you'll hear sound coming all around you. You don't just need headphones. There's dual stereo speakers on there. It's the same as with our tablets. It's a 13 megapixel camera that does have image stabilization. It's got a dedicated camera button on the side. That button, if I hit it once, it's the camera. And if I hold it down for a second, it's Firefly. And you can take 1080p video. All of this is unlimited storage. It was funny, I was speaking at another conference, and a gentleman came up to me, and he was an indie filmmaker, and he said, I could literally film 100 days of 1080p video, and you guys will save that all for me? Yes, we will. We have this cloud. And then we have Mayday. So if you have Mayday on a Kindle Fire tablet, if you've seen this, we've had some commercials on this. You may have seen the commercials with Amy in them. This is very popular. In fact, we announced that a very large percentage of all of our support calls through all of our devices are happening on Mayday. And what Mayday is on the phone, I swipe from the top, and within a couple of seconds, I get a real person. And they say, hello, how can I help you? And you say, how do I turn off data roaming? And they say, well, you go in your settings, and you can say, can you show me? And they can actually draw right on the screen. Now, they don't see you, okay? You see them, they can hear you. And they can control your screen if you give them permission. And you can ask anything. We've had marriage proposals on here. Right? We've had people ask how to beat Angry Birds levels, and the rep looked it up for them and helped them through the level. But what's important to understand is if you have people in your life, aka family members, who need support with technology, this is on all of our devices, right? It's on our tablets and our phones too, and it's a great way for somebody to get help. So let's talk a little bit more about those features from a developer perspective. So really, what is dynamic perspective and what can I do with it inside of my apps? So if you break out the SDK, there's a couple of different pieces on there. The first is that home screen that you saw. So I have the ability to put a 3D icon. Those 3D icons are in VBL format, and we give you a couple of tools for converting for that, so that's a pretty easy format to get in if you've got existing 3D models. We have head tracking, so if you want raw head tracking data, again, it's head tracking, not face tracking, we'll tell you that current position of the head relative to the screen. And then we've got tracking, motion, foundation, and this whole UI framework. So all of that combines together so that if you instantiate a control, it's going to automatically do all of the head tracking for you. And what we've done is we've mapped all these controls to the Android controls. So all of the properties are the same, all the attributes are the same. It's really, and I'll show you in a little bit, just editing your manifest file, and you have the ability to go ahead and start adding dimension and depth to all of this kind of stuff. So you can take your existing Android app, you can compile it, as long as you're using API 17, it'll run. And then you can say, you know what? I want to add an icon. I think my customers will like having this 3D icon. You can do that, and then you could say, you know what? Maybe I'll add some 3D controls or maybe some side panels. So it's entirely up to you. You can integrate as you go along with your application. All of that will just work with existing Android. Now, we also have one-handed shortcuts. So when you're holding the phone, instead of swiping in from the left or the right, I just do a tilt with the device. And let me show you what I mean. So we're used to this today. If I go ahead to the right, I can bring in a panel, and you'll see here's my weather. Well, if I just flick the device like this, you see how that screen came in? And then I just flick it back, it goes away. And you get used to that with your one-handed motion. Especially, you also have tilt if you're reading web pages or you're reading a Kindle book. You're moving back and forth, and you're like, hey, I wonder what I have on my calendar. You just flick to the side. In Android terms, those are just views. We give you a new layout for it. It's called side panel layout, and it's very easy to implement. So here's an example. Let me go back to the slides. Of using a side panel. So the Fire Phone is integrated with our music service. And if you have a song, all you have to do is flip using the shortcut to the right, and you will see all the lyrics in real time to the song. What's also interesting is once you have that part of Prime Music, how many people here have Prime? Okay, so you have a lot of songs already in here, right? Over 1 million songs already for free that you can stream with lyrics, and then if you get a Fire TV, it keeps the lyrics too. So I've got 2 little girls at home who now have little dance parties with the lyrics coming across. There's a Kid Bop album where they're like kid versions of popular songs. And you get all of the lyrics, right? So all of that is in our cloud, and it's all syncing across these devices. And you could take advantage of all those new views. And then, of course, there's Peek that I talked about before. Peek is not that tilt action. It's just simply looking around or tilting the device just a little bit so that you can go ahead and see additional information. Now, the way that Peek works on the Android controls is if I have a tab bar at the top, I only see the icons. If I peek, I'll see the words of what those icons are. And that way, I don't always have to have text on the screen. I get the nice, elegant icons, and then when I need to know what they are, I simply do a peek. Now, the enhanced carousel is basically an Android widget that's going to allow you to do a 3D model, and then it's going to allow you to do a list or a grid view. And in this list or grid view, you can do images and you can do text. And then what we do is an Android intent when you go ahead and click on one of those items to load the app itself with those parameters. So for example, if I was going to hit Seattle Space Needle, it would go right into the maps to that 3D needle. Does that make sense? Okay, so all this is just very easy to go back in and integrate into your existing app. And then what we've done is we've taken a lot of the controls, your typical Android controls, we've gone back and we've prepended a Z to them. So for example, if you're using buttons in your Android app today, and you want to start to have this depth and this 3D perspective, all you have to do is instantiate a Z button instead of a button. You reference this Euclid library that I'm going to show you how to do. And then you get the ability to cast shadows off that. And you also have the ability, you can see here the text even on the buttons. You can decide how much 3D that text is going to have coming off of the surface of the button. And that's all rendered in real time on the device. And then raw head tracking data. So if you're a game developer and you're using something like Unity, we give you access to that. It works very much like an accelerometer. You're going to get X, Y, and Z coordinates and tilt of the head. So this is a game, Lily. This has been out on Fire tablets. My kids love this game. And you kind of adventure around in this 3D world. But on Fire Phone, you don't have to touch the screen. You simply move around, and Lily will go ahead and move around based on how you're holding the phone. So it gives you a much better gaming experience. You're seeing the entire screen instead of your thumbs on the screen, right? All right, so those are some of the capabilities of the SDK. How do I go ahead and get started with this? So the first, Android 4.2.2. So all of our devices right now are API 17 compatible. All right? We've announced that last year's Fire tablets will be going to KitKat, so they will be API 19. The current gen tablets that are being sold on Amazon.com are already there, and Fire Phone will be API 19 early next year. So between the market share for 17, which is still the majority, and 19's around 30%, you're going to be able to take all of your existing Android code that you're using today, and it should just work on our App Store. How many developers here are using Eclipse still? You like how I appended this still? How many here have been afraid to check out Android Studio because there's been so many betas? Right? I can tell you it's stabilized now. For Fire Phone, you can get away with Eclipse, but you're going to need Android Studio if you're bringing in a lot of these 3D resources that we're using. So anything with a dynamic perspective, you're going to need Android Studio. And you will really enjoy Android Studio. I had been a big Visual Studio user for years, even before getting into Android. And there was a lot of things that I missed. And I'll tell you, Android Studio is doing a great job of really catching up on that. And you'll see as I go into the code here. It's free. Google has said that is the way that all Android devs are going to code apps in the future. So I would look at Fire Phone as the time to jump in there. Does everybody here know what Gradle is or have heard of Gradle support? Okay. So there's full Gradle support, and what we've done with our SDK is we've just given you a Gradle package. And so what that means is you literally just go into Android Studio, say File, Import Module, you point to our Gradle package, and all of the projects are there, done, ready to be run. It couldn't be even more simple. We even give you a README if you want to get dangerous and actually read a README. Right? So you can take your existing Android apps, API 17, you can target all of the Amazon devices using a single APK. So you're going to see when I go into the portal, there's just checkboxes. You can do that. And then you're just using feature detection to decide, am I on a phone screen? Am I on a tablet screen? Am I on a TV? Or you can start out small and say, I only want one APK for Android devices. I want this APK for Fire Phone. I want this one for Kindle Fire. Entirely up to you. And then, of course, you can test your APK in just minutes. You go to developer.amazon.com apps. You hit on the big browse button, and you can upload your APK. So the account is free. This is what the developer dashboard looks like. So this is my account. You can see I have a bunch of different apps I've been messing around with. And then you get information about different apps and services. This is where you'll get information on the forums. It's a simplified process to go ahead and use all of that. So let me show you what that actually looks like if we're going to submit an app. And the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to start out the way that you would do it is by testing your existing Android app. So let's go ahead and swap over. Everybody see that? Okay. So let's go to Amazon.com. We changed resolution right before the presentation, so let me drop this font size here. How's that? Better? Okay. So I'm going to browse for an APK, And this is just one from the SDK samples that you'll see me use. I'm just uploading a debug version. And then what it's going to do is it's going to parse through. It's going to understand the manifest. It's going to understand all of my references. And it's going to tell me if I would pass or not from a technical level right away before anybody's looked at your package. Now, our SLA process is pretty quick. It's not 24 days. It's not 24 months. It's usually 24 hours or less. It's a pretty quick process. And it's so that we can guarantee as Amazon, every person using the store and the device has their Amazon account in there. We can guarantee that their Amazon account will not be hacked by some malicious app. We've guaranteed everything in the store. Because for those of you who know, who are on Google Play, nobody looks at those apps. Right? You're free to do whatever you want. So here, you can see I already have a compatibility test. I could say start device test. So this will go ahead and run on devices. So you can see now it's running on Fire phones and it's running on Fire tablets. And then I say, you know what? I think Dave's right. It's worth a couple minutes. I'm going to go ahead and submit this. So let me log into my account. And you'll see here are the different packages that I've uploaded. So this is the one that we just uploaded. I'm going to go ahead and submit that to the store. I can look at the results from the test. And you can see it's read the binary. So here's my file size. You can see I'm using API level 17. So everything's already there. If I wanted to add another binary and select different targets, I could. So does everybody see right here? These are all the different Kindle Fire tablets. Here's Amazon Fire TV. Here's Fire Phone, the new gen tablets, and the stick. So it's entirely up to you what you want to target. Here are your different languages. And then you also have the ability, if you're using Google Maps, we'll go ahead and convert that for you too. Okay? So no extra work on your part. And then as you go through this, you're going to get little green checkboxes. So general information, this is all the information about my account. So you can see here it's already pulled it from my developer account. Availability and pricing. So I can target all the different countries, or I can target individual countries, and I can do different prices. I can tell it to calculate prices or set my own prices. And then you go down, you set your content rating, your description, and then images and multimedia. These could be the same images that you're using on Google Play or another store, or the same video. And this is what will show up right on Amazon.com. So if we go to Amazon.com, and we go look for Tofu Fury, you'll see here's Tofu Fury right here. And then these are all of the different images that they uploaded to the developer portal, as well as a video. So you can see how it's integrated across all of the Amazon ecosystem. Does that make sense? Pretty straightforward to sign up? Okay. And if you ever have any questions on that, please email me. Okay, setting up the developer environment. If you get a device, the first thing you may want to do is put your own apps on the device, or sideload your own APKs, wherever they may come from. And in order to do that, you need to go into developer mode. So the way that you go into developer mode is we're going to go down to settings. And then over here on the side, I have this shortcut. You just want to go down to get info about your Fire phone. And then you're just going to hit your phone number at least 7 times. And you're going to see a little button at the bottom that's going to pop up that says developer options. Everybody see that pop up? You come down there and you turn on USB debugging that you can see. And that's what's going to allow ADB, or the Android Debug Bridge, to go ahead and connect and allow you to run your own apps on the phone. So pretty simple process. I now have the ability to load onto the phone. I want to go ahead and get the SDK. So you can get all of the docs. I recommend downloading the guidelines, the starting docs, tips and tricks, all that stuff's here, but not getting the SDK here. Because when you click that button, it's really going to tell you to go to the Android SDK Manager. So like any other good citizen of the Android community, our SDK is going to come down as an add-on right through the SDK manager. So just open up your SDK manager either in Eclipse or in Android Studio, and you're going to enter this S3 URL here, and that's where you'll find the addon.xml. And then when I do that, you see at the bottom, you'll see the Amazon Fire Phone SDK add-on. You'll see both that and the TV. Now, something else I want to announce today. This is brand new. We are iterating very, very fast. We are listening. You heard Andy Jassy yesterday talk about how important your feedback is to what we put into our products, what we put into AWS, and our devices is no different. We have already had 2 over-the-air installs across all Fire Phones, across carriers. And because we're iterating so fast, as developers, we want you guys to have the ability to say, whoa, time out, I'm only supporting this version of the SDK, and have some more control over everything, just running everything. So as of today, inside your Android manifest, it works very much like Android versions. You're just going to use Amazon SDK version, and you're going to have 2 integers. Currently, we have version 1 and 2. That's existing what's out there, and we're having 3 coming as well. So you can see here, this is all it would look like. Min SDK version 1, Target SDK version 2. And if you put that into your existing Android app today, it won't hurt anything, and you'll be future-proof until you test out some of these new capabilities that we're going to continue to iterate on very quickly. Does that make sense? Okay. So, developer environment. Let's go over to Eclipse. Let's pull up our Android SDK manager. All right. Is it coming up here? Hold on a second here. There we go. So here's my Android SDK manager. You can see I'm scrolling down through versions. So here's 4.2.2, and you can see right there Amazon Fire TV SDK and Fire Phone SDK. If we go ahead, we want to make sure we have 4.03. 4.03 is actually the older versions of the Fire tablets as well. So if you want to go ahead and support those versions, we'll go down to 4.3. And then Gingerbread, the first original Fire tablet, which customers are still using to buy apps on, that goes all the way down to 2.3. So you would make sure that you have those versions as well. So that's how easy it is to get the SDK. It's going to go in wherever you put your Android SDK. I just happen to put mine in my home directory. And then under here, under add-ons, you'll see Fire Phone SDK. You'll see all of our READMEs. And then you'll see all of these different SDK samples right here, along with the Gradle files that I talked about. And all this is using, everybody know what Maven support is, bringing down packages, getting more and more popular as a way to pull in packages into your Android apps. So this has Maven support and all of that stuff built in too. And that's it. So now you've got an SDK environment using your existing Android Studio environment. Let's go ahead and dig into some of these samples. So the first one, we talked about the dynamic perspective SDK and the Firefly SDK. One of the things that you may want to think about as you're just starting off, maybe you don't want to dive into any advanced controls or anything. You just want the simplest way to make your app look like it feels it should be on the phone. We use the standard theme.device default. This was introduced in Android 4.0. As long as you use that theme in your Android manifest, you'll go ahead and you'll get the entire Fire Phone look and feel. All right, so I recommend everybody, that's the first step that you want to do. Then maybe you want to start looking at additional layouts, like the side panel layout that had the ability to do that one-handed shortcut, where I had a left panel, I had a right panel, and I had a music panel. So here you can see in the middle is the store, on the left is my library, and then on the right, I'm going to go ahead and get all of these recommendations. So these are called foundation controls, and these are typically your layouts and your 2D Android controls. All of these can be implemented in very, very minimal steps. These are the easiest ones to integrate. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll start off by showing you a side panel. So over here on the left, this is the same SDK samples that you saw inside the add-on folder of the Android SDK. I'm going to go down here to the side panels project. And you'll notice inside my Android manifest, I have a style set to theme Amazon Dark. In the SDK, we're using that. I recommend device default here. You're going to have to use the additional library as well. So everybody see right here, EAC library. That will bring in all of the foundation controls. And I'm just naming my activity side panel. So let's go ahead and we'll look in the layout file. Everything, when it comes to the foundation controls, is going to be under Amazon.widget. So everybody see Amazon.widget side panel layout. So we have that, and I have my left panel, so navigation panel. I'm giving it a title. I'm giving it a menu to go to, which is just a pane that comes out. I have my content, which is just a text view, and I have my right panel. And this is all Amazon widget side panel layout, and that's it. So then I can put whatever kind of content I want in there. Let's go ahead and run this on a phone. So you can see this is my content view right here in the middle. And if I just go ahead and do that left-handed shortcut, as everybody see, I now have this nice navigation menu that popped right in. And if I go ahead and swipe again, it goes away. And then here's the right content panel. So whatever you'd like to put in there, it's just a view inside Android. And if I swap back over, you'll see over here, if we look at Logcat, does everybody see down here, gesture listening service? So all of that was implemented. And you remember the gestures I talked about, tilt. So you saw when I did the one-handed shortcut, the gesture listener said, hey, Dave went ahead and tilted the phone. I'm going to go ahead and move that menu out. So all of that, again, we've built that into the controls for you. You don't have to get down in the bare metal. You're just going to get all of that capability automatically by using these new views. Does that make sense? Okay. So the UI controls in an SDK programming sense are called Euclid. And these are going to give the ability to have realistic depth and shadow. There's actually a control that's called a shadow receiver. And whatever you put into the shadow receiver will cast shadows. And then you have these shadow containers. And containers are where you put the 3D controls. So you can take a standard Android list view, and let's say you want that thing to cast shadows, put the list view in a shadow receiver, and anywhere you want to sprinkle in 3D controls, you just put shadow containers, okay? I'm going to open up the SDK sample and show you what that actually looks like. It's fun to play around in there. Right. So the first thing I want to show you, Dynamic Perspective Explode, is the team, they got pretty creative with all of these containers because you can put some of these VBL 3D models in there and layer everything. So this is actually a 3D model that's broken up across all of these different containers. So if we go into layout, everybody see right here, Z container. So I'm going to have all of these different layers. So if we run this, we've taken a 3D model of the Fire Phone itself. There it goes. All right. So now I can move this all around in real time. I can zoom in so you can see just the tip of the fire. Everybody see that? Is that better? Okay. I know it's very bright up here. You can see how it's exploded. If I move here, these are all different views. And this is what's showing how fast these Z containers are with the 3D depth. And then I can zoom in. And this is all using the same dynamic perspective libraries and controls that you would inside your own app. Pretty cool, right? All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a series of controls. Because the first thing we want to do when we get something new, doesn't matter what technology, right? We want to see everything it can do. So as a developer, you probably want to instantiate every single control out there and see what they look like. So we saved you the trouble. This is an SDK sample that's just a list view of every single control. All right, so you can go in, you can edit. I'll show you here. Here's Z button. Here you can see different images for button. By the way, to go up on Fire Phone, there is no back button. It's just a gesture up from the bottom. Usually I use my thumb. So you go bottom up, or you could use a finger, and you'll always go back. Here's depth. So remember I talked about the different layers where you can get depth. Here's buttons with 2D text and 3D text. So if I move this around, do you see how the 3D text, it's just ever so subtle of how much it's off of that button? But if I go back in, so let's switch over here. Okay, everybody see right here? This is the Z button inside of the layout, inside of the container. You can see 2D text, and you can see 3D text. Let's go crazy and turn that to 100, and then we'll bring this up. We'll switch back over. Now look how crazy that 3D text is. If I go like this, you see how it's literally dropping off the page? Everybody see that? I mean, you could go crazy as a developer. So that's how easy the controls are to use. It's pretty easy to come up and running. The last little piece, because I know we're super short on time, I just want to show you is the Firefly. So Firefly, the way Firefly works is you're going to do a plugin. So you're going to inherit from the plugin architecture. Think of things here that you could do, right? A VoIP, a image recognizer, maybe a way to do business cards and all of those type of things, right? You're going to take that digital entity I talked about, and you're going to look at different facets. So calendars, emails, books, barcodes. And then those facets, you're going to build filters and a digital entity UI. So it's basically a list of labels with on-click events. And that's it, right? So the SDK sample, which I've already installed, is built in. So if I come up here, I'll put down my business card. And you can come by the booth and you can scan a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody see my business card? So all I've done is I've looked for a facet for phone number. Here's Firefly. I'm going to come over. And then you see magically how it picked up my phone number. If I just tap my phone number, you can see Firefly VoIP reInvent, and I'm passing in the phone number, right? So you can imagine at a conference like that how pretty cool that is. That was a real physical object, and I took it in, and now I could launch my own kind of VoIP application. Sound cool? All right, so Firefly. Dynamic perspective, 2 unique features. If you've got an existing Android app, it's really easy to go ahead and start integrating that stuff. But as a developer, I don't have a device. And we don't have an emulator. And we thought long and hard about this. And this is one of the coolest things as an evangelist to be able to say. Every one of you gets a phone. Yep. So Corey's going to announce the logistics for how to get these devices. I can't wait to see what you guys build. If you know another developer or you know somebody that's interested in this, we're going to do another session at 4:30. My colleague Peter is going to have phones possibly as well. And hopefully you enjoyed the session. Please give feedback. If you want to see more sessions like this is the first time we've done a device track at reInvent. It's very important that that team hears that. They do take that feedback serious. So please let me know what you thought, and I'll be around for questions. Thank you.
Yes.